What kind of heaven is this where you have to swipe to pay for everything? There's ads everywhere. That honestly kind of sounds like hell. Hey guys, it's Kristen, and today we are talking about Amazon Prime's new series, Upload. This show was created by Greg Daniels, who is a very busy guy. You might know him from his work on The Office, Parks and Rec, Saturday Night Live, The Simpsons, King of the Hill, and he's dropping not one, but two brand new shows that he created this month. The first one is Upload, which we're talking about today, and the second one is Space Force, the new series coming to Netflix with Steve Carell. This specific show is about a near future where we can sort of cheat death because the afterlife is really a virtual simulation. I would say if you're a fan of shows like The Good Place, Altered Carbon, Black Mirror, this might be up your alley. Consider subscribing if you like my videos, and drop it in the comments and let me know your thoughts on Upload. Let's get into it. Robbie Amell plays Nathan, a guy who dies unexpectedly in a self-driving car accident and ends up in Lakeview, a very ritzy virtual afterlife. And I have to say, he really shines in this role. He brings this great balance of humor and sweetness that really just makes you fall for his character. Allegra Edwards plays his rich and clingy girlfriend Ingrid. She brings a lot of dimension to the character of Ingrid. There are times when she's snooty and selfish and you can't really trust her, but at the same time she also has some really great moments of likability. I think specifically when she has the sleepover with Navia, and when you get to see her sort of bonding with Nora over, you know, cheesy reality TV. Those were some moments where I was like, oh, actually, maybe Ingrid isn't so bad. And Andy Allo plays Nora, who is like a customer service rep at Lakeview. She is considered an angel to the residents and sort of helps guide them, and it's kind of like their Janet from The Good Place, if you will. I also think some of our supporting players like Luke and Alicia were really funny as well and had some fun dynamics. One of the things that I really enjoyed about this show is that, you know, already the idea of like a virtual afterlife is interesting, and then they add sort of these layers of mystery over that I think really just propel the story forward in a really exciting way. Trying to figure out, was Nathan's death an accident? Was it done on purpose? Why would people even be after him? Why doesn't he remember certain things? I think it definitely takes an already intriguing storyline and just beefs it up even more. And I think while they give us a lot to work with in this season, they also set it up so that there's even more to discover in a potential season 2. And I think this is a show that kind of has something for everyone. You know, it's genuinely funny. There's like a mystery going on. There's like this whole sci-fi tech situation, and you're also diving into these deeper thoughts of the afterlife and death. You know, it's a satire about the future, and it's also a love story, and I think it all manages to work seamlessly. There's deeper discussions about life after death, immortality, controlling people, technology, capitalism. Nathan starts to feel like property, like he's being controlled by his girlfriend Ingrid, and he sort of is. Like, as you're watching it, it feels like you're, you know, playing The Sims or something. And you'd sort of imagine, you know, heaven is like a nirvana. Everyone would have what they want. They'd be equal. They would be in paradise. But this is a man-made heaven, so it's kind of tainted. It's glitchy, and it's not as perfect as the facade makes it out to be. You know, there are people who are well off, and that means that in the afterlife, they're gonna have the money that they want to have the afterlife that they want. They'll be able to be comfortable. While there are people in this show who can't even afford an afterlife, or they can only afford 2 gigs, and it's like that afterlife is probably way worse than the life they even lived. At that point, is it even worth it? And that's not something that they necessarily dive into, at least in this first season, but I think it would be interesting to see them sort of tackle that in a season 2, because there are times when we see Nathan, you know, in this place that just feels like a little bit of a scam, you know? Like, what kind of heaven is this where you have to swipe to pay for everything? There's ads everywhere. That honestly kind of sounds like hell. There are these discussions of trying to build free afterlives for people, and that's something that, you know, then starts to get big businesses upset. That could be why Nathan ended up in the position that he's in. Because, you know, when you start digging into the pockets of the rich, they don't like that. It's also interesting to see the balance of the privileged and the not so privileged in this sort of like alternate world that we're in. The well-off people eat real food, not stuff that's made from like a technological freeze-dried machine, and they have self-driving cars, and you know, they just have a lot of these opportunities that other people don't. I think that this show could really dive into some interesting parallels of like the haves and the have-nots when it comes to like what our future will be like. And at the same time, there's certain characters like Nora's father who doesn't even want to be involved in a virtual afterlife. He wants to actually go to, you know, what we now see as heaven. You know, he doesn't want to be uploaded into a system. And they also sort of bring up these ideas of like, what are you when you are these uploads? Are you a brain? Are you consciousness? Is there a soul attached? And kind of what that could mean. Another concept that was brought up in the show was downloading, which I thought was very intriguing. So in this world, you upload and you get put into this virtual reality world. But they're also working on figuring out how to download from these virtual worlds and putting people back into cloned versions of their bodies. So essentially trying to beat death and sort of be immortal. The first attempt doesn't really go as they hope, and that sort of got my wheels spinning about how these people are trying to play God, and maybe the universe doesn't want that. You know, we are not meant to be on Earth forever. What happens when you do start playing God, or you start becoming a god and you can't die? I just think this show opens up some really interesting discussion topics. I also think they did a really great job with the season finale and kind of setting up something that you really don't expect to happen going into a potential season 2. So I hope that we get one, because I would love to see what's gonna happen next. I think Ingrid definitely takes a step that I definitely was not expecting. While I had a lot of fun with the show, there were some things that didn't fully work for me, so let's dive into those. I think first of all, there was just some aspects of this show that didn't fully line up for me. So for instance, it's supposed to take place in 2033. That's only 13 years from now. So I just don't believe that we'd have these technological advances and these afterlives and things like that in 13 years. So I'm imagining that this takes place in an alternate reality. I just wish they kind of expressed that a little bit, even in like a description or something, saying that it was an alternate reality, because I just kept thinking in my head as I watched, like, these technological advances wouldn't have come this far yet. And I will say, I also had a difficult time sort of really believing in Nathan and Nora's relationship. I just felt like it didn't quite work for me. There was some times where they had some really cute moments, and other times where I was like, I don't know, is this too quick? And then I think especially as we sort of got towards the end of the season, there were some moments that happened that I just felt were very like cliche and kind of made the character of Nora seem a little shallow. It feels like she sort of judges him because he wasn't perfect. And just to see that sort of like solidified a little bit what I was feeling of like, well, do they even really have a strong connection? Another thing I want to mention is that as much as I enjoyed Robbie Amell as Nathan, I do feel like the script didn't really allow him to fully go on this journey of change. In the afterlife, he sort of starts reevaluating his life and realizing it wasn't that great and that he was kind of a jerk, but I don't think that they did enough to show us the before with him being a jerk. It felt like he was, you know, a nice guy, and then he realized that he was dating the wrong girl sort of thing, and I think they could have gone further to really show how much he changed. Overall, I actually really had a lot of fun with Upload. I think it was really funny. I love the mystery, and it's a unique concept that I think really allowed its actors to play up their strengths. At the same time, for me, there were certain things that I felt like didn't fully line up, wasn't 100% there, but this is a show that I think if it gets a second season could really find its groove and do some really exciting things. I definitely recommend checking it out. 10 episodes, 30 minutes each. It's very quick to get through, and that's another thing, you know, not only is it quick to watch, but like it's enjoyable to watch and you just want to keep going. If you guys like this one, you can check out more of my reviews right over here, and I will catch you in my next video. See ya!